Hello class, my name is Andres de Leon, and today I'm gonna do a presentation on the problem of scarcity that we are facing in this country because of the pandemic. So, that's, so right now what we're seeing is that many people are flocking to supermarkets all over the world, and as we see here in Australia, in Woolsworth.
I'm currently here in Bardarash refugee camp in the Kurdistan region of Iraq. This camp is
Sorry,
currently
this is
hosting
an ad.
approximately 11,000 Syrian refugees who fled.
Meanwhile, the panic of purchasing toilet paper has reached a new low. Alarming scene in a
So yeah,
Sydney supermarket of two women coming to blows
this is
in
one
an
of those
argument.
famous videos of people fighting over toilet paper because there is scarcity in the market. People are flocking to buy. So, what is the solution? Is it to increase the production? No, because the supply can't increase during this time because many people are out of the job or working from home. So, do we reopen the economy? Well, no, because we don't want to expose more people to this disease. So, I'll give you the hint to this problem. It's simple. It's simple economics. So, today I'll discuss why price gouging and the easing of restrictions on the market are the solution. Now, many people will say, Andres, why are you for price gouging? Why? You think they should charge more? You think they should profit more now that people are in times of crisis? Yes, and here's why. This is a graph on a type of price control, and here is talking about rent control. So when the supply and the demand is met, what happens right now during this pandemic, during the beginning, the demand increased and the new price equilibrium should be higher. Now what happens if that price doesn't increase because of the new higher demand? Well, because of the regulations that there are on price gouging, guess what happens? Shortages happen. And you see that people are fighting. You see that people are trying to survive, trying to be the first ones to get the supplies. Usually during a crisis, there's always a moral crusade against price gouging. And that's why you see in this page of consumer fine law that there are so many states that have restrictions on price gouging. So many. And especially during this one of COVID-19 where everything is spread, the crisis is spread, everyone is they're not price gouging, they're restricting the market. They are not allowing for stores to increase prices to a certain extent. This usually happens, like I said, during a hurricane. And the reason why that happens is because the supply transported to that place is cut, and at the same time the demand of the area increases. So stores decide to increase their prices because they want to allocatively distribute the goods so they won't run out and have how can I say this, and still be able to have extra without having to import more. Now, because these restrictions happen, what individuals decide to price for it themselves. And because it's so spread all across the country that individuals are taking place in price gouging. They are willing to risk um, selling for profit, even though the government says not to. Now, if the but now let's just talk about the main type of price gouging, which is at stores. Like I said, when the demand increases, the price is supposed to increase in order to meet the supply at the new price equilibrium. If it doesn't, if, for example, these restrictions are taking place, which they are being, a shortage is bound to happen because the high demand, the excess demand doesn't allow for there to be the same amount of supply to be bought. It just buys it off, and whoever comes first grabs it. So, and why is there a moral panic? Because people say, oh, you shouldn't profit. Like, for example, UT News. Price gouging has its defenders, but they ignore morality. You see this video right here. Price, by the way, this is an individual hoarder who decides to, sorry for the, no, I don't want you guys to look at my Facebook. Oh, here, no. I won't show this video, but I'll summarize it. So basically, this woman is diabetic and she needs what is it that this is?
Can you tell me?
Oh, the insulin syringes, right? So she usually buys them at the market price, which is $5. Now, because of the store is closed and because they ran out because of the new higher demand and because of the fact that they didn't increase the prices, they ran out of the supplies. So she sees that one of these, this guy right here,
Get those insulin syringes? I'm a diabetic and I really need some.
I don't know.
this guy right here, the guy with the man bun, he has those syringes because he came in there first. Now he's trying to profit off, and let's see. See, here he is at the store.
Emergency supplies for sale.
By the way, because of legal actions, he would not be able to, in fact, do that. And if you look at right here, at the government, at Justice, the Department of Justice page, you are allowed to report hoarding and price gouging. There's a certain hotline. Now, these guys are basing their, of course, their policies based on feelings, not on facts, not on the basis of demand and supply. So, where's the video?
Oh, thank
So you see
goodness
the
you're
woman
selling
trying
these.
to buy these.
How much for these syringes?
That'll be $50.
Yeah.
$50?
So he sells them at $50.
But that's 5 times the normal price.
5 times the normal price. So she usually buys them at $10.
That's supply and demand.
He says it's
Take it or
supply and
leave it.
demand. Take it or leave it. So this woman has a struggle to buy it at that price. She eventually buys them, but you know, she is really sad that she had to pay $50 to buy them. Now, what would happen if, let's just say, that person did not, did not, well, that person decided to buy those syringes just for the market price? They would have run out. And in fact, this,
Mom, you're diabetic.
So I kept going to different stores, and each time.
so then this, the guy's mother is diabetic and she's trying to buy the syringes. She has the same problem that they couldn't find them at stores. And well, the point of this message is that we need to think as we, not me. Now, I find that troubling, not only from the principal ethics standpoint, because I am sort of an objectivist and I believe that people need to be selfishly interested and that would create a better society. But from an ethics standpoint, if you if you create this society based on the common good of others, what happens? For example, like Venezuela, with inflation going through the roof and money printing going through the roof, they decided to implement price controls. And what are the consequences of price controls, like I said before? Shortages are bound to happen. And not only that, but they are literally eating off garbage in order to find food. So how is this a more moral society? A society that can't even buy its goods at the market price that they are supposed to be. I mean, if you look at some of what, I mean, if you look at some of the problems, social problems that Venezuela is having, is that people are trying to find whatever to eat. A lot of people are looking to, by the way, this is from my own country and this is what I know. The Daily Mail, for example, because poor people can't find the stuff at the supermarket, they can't find the meat, and it's first come, first serve. So what are some doing? No, I don't want this ad. They are going to zoo markets. They're going to zoos and basically robbing animals. They're eating, people are eating dogs, rats. I mean, prisoners are eating rats. People are trying to leave the country. So how is that a more moral society? And many people will say, well, that's a third world country. Well, the fact is that Venezuela used to be one of the most stable countries in America. Yet, when those policies were put in place, everything collapsed. So why? Why should the government be able to restrict prices? They shouldn't. And that's my point. We should allow the free market to do what is necessary in order for there to be an allocation of prices. If someone goes to a supermarket and has the money to buy it right now at the price that it is right now, 10 cases of toilet paper and other goods, what happens if the price increases because of that increased demand? Well, that person will have to limit that toilet paper because he doesn't have the amount of money in order to pay for that toilet paper, and therefore needs to allocatively decide what is better or worse to buy off. And that way, the supplies that are being bought are bought at a slower pace. So now I'm going to talk about my third solution, which is to stop the classification of what goods are essential and not essential. Where's the article? Right now in Michigan, which is one of the states where the protest took place, garden centers are closed. Garden centers. So, why are they considered non-essential? If gardening can be used to prepare your own food, wouldn't the government want people to make their own food rather than to continue risking going to the supermarket and getting infected? Also, if they want people less working in order to provide for certain goods in the market, shouldn't they be allowed to make their own food? Because the fact is, if you can't work, you don't have the money unless the government subsidizes you. But still, they are still stealing you from a check. But if you don't have work, you don't have the money. Guess what happens? You can't buy the goods. So shouldn't the government allow people to buy gardening tools in order to basically make their own food? And why should government be able to consider what goods are essential and non-essential? I mean, right now the government is saying that alcohol liquors are considered essential. Now, how? The government's argument to consider these places essential is that you don't want people running out of alcoholics running out of liquor and then turning violent. Now, the same thing can be said about marijuana dispensaries. And guess what? Marijuana dispensaries and CBD dispensaries are also used not only for recreational purposes like licorice, but also they're used for medical purposes. And why is it that government decides to consider one good essential and why another good not? It's a good question, and that is why I believe that these measures are arbitrary. In conclusion, I think that the government needs to ease off restrictions on what goods people buy, at what cost, and how they choose to sell it at what price. Thank you very much. My name is Andres de Leon, and I will allow questions at this time.